An inquiry into the future of fossil fuels.
I'm Ahmed, he's Kayari, and it's Nicholas, and it's Ahmed.
What are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are the remains of plants and animals. Fossil fuels provide us with non-renewable energy resources. They're really good at making energy, but it takes millions of years to form. What forms of fossil fuels come in? Fossil fuels are produced in either oil, coal, or natural gas form.
The problem with fossil fuels. There are many disadvantages of fossil fuels. That's why we need to find an alternative for them. First, it's environmental hazards. When the fossil fuels burn, they release CO2, which leads to global warming and mainly pollute the environment by releasing deadly chemicals. The costing. There is a Middle East company called OPEC, which is the Organization of Petroleum for exporting countries, and it contains 40% of the world's oil production, and the world depends on it. And every year, depending on how much they produce, the price gets higher or lower. And the last disadvantage is that it's because it's non-renewable. There are limited amount of fossil fuels that are going to happen in the future, and even if it can replace itself, it's going to take millions of years to do it. It's going to take millions of years to replace coal and oil. Now, if you are using fossil fuels these days, determines how sooner it will end.
Fossil fuels can cause lots of pollution, especially in oil spills. The oil can kill all the marine life. Also, the birds that get stuck in the oil will die. This is what the Atlantic Ocean looks like.
Another main issue with fossil fuels is it creates CO2 emissions. So, in other words, when fossil fuels are first found, they're carbonated, and then once they resurface, oxygen and carbon combine to create CO2. But whenever, say, fossil fuels are leaked out or when they are burnt, excess fuels, that creates a very large CO2 emission. So, you look, for example, here. In the 1800s, you would have, when the first motor car and motor production was being made, you'd have less than 1,000 cubic meters or metric system of CO2 being released. And by 2000 and 2015, it has doubled, but it has tripled and gone up way pretty high, causing greenhouse effects. The alternatives happen to be close to us. In fact, it's even happening next door and in other places. Masdar City. Masdar City is a city created by a company which is meant to be the first ever non-fossil fuel city. So what this does, it's a city where there is no CO2 emission, no carbon emission, no fossil fuel wastage or anything. Everything there is renewable. The electricity source will be solar power, and water will be reused. And nothing in Masdar will be wasted, which makes it a renewable city and conserves oil for future generations. Another good example is the UK's vision in 2029, a fossil fuel-free United Kingdom, where there will be no such thing as fossil fuels within the United Kingdom. All cars will be electric, all sorts of energy will be renewable, and best of it all is it follows in Masdar's steps to become a future city. So these two countries and cities are trying to show what the future could be without without having to waste it with fossil fuels. The future of fossil fuels will look something like this: no gas. It is estimated that within 53 years, or 100 years or so, that fossil fuels will no longer be available. So we're looking within this generation. The world economy for fossil fuels. This is taken from the OPEC, and most of the key countries who are looking in fossil fuels or invested in fossil fuels happen to be Algeria, Angola, Ecuador, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Venezuela. Most of these countries are percentage show how much they share in, but most of these countries have decided not to go economical because fossil fuel is what their main export and imports are. Advantages of fossil fuels.
I don't know.
Um,
Cool.
80% of the world's energy source and energy comes from coal, which is one of the largest fossil fuel producing energy there is. Oil can be cleaned and separated in the event of an oil spill, but sometimes it can't really happen. It powers almost everything for our transportation. For example, the car that we use, the airplane that we use to travel, boats, etc. Natural gas can also be helpful for creating heat and creating other sorts of electronics. For example, the computers, the desk, all came from fossil fuels because fossil fuels cool creates plastic, another by